Wayne Brownson,
Have to unmute myself first. Here.
Robert Crabtree,
Here.
Luke Moranis,
Here.
Michael Murphy, Michael Murphy,
Might be muted too.
It's here. It's here.
Lisa O'Reilly,
Here.
David Pachakowski,
Here.
Margaret Perry,
She was here, but she might have gone.
Here. She's muted.
Who did you say?
Margaret Perry,
There, she's
Joe
sitting.
Ah, she came back.
I'm here. Sorry, I had to take a call. I had a friend whose mother was in the hospital.
Joan Reeves,
Here.
Miriam Wasman,
Here.
Jody Weising.
Here.
And also present here at main campus, we have President of the Board Ann Wright, Deputy Superintendent Colleen Vigiano, Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Support Services Chris DeFalvio, Director of the Regional Information Center Pam Mazzaferro, Secretary to the District Superintendent Teresa Smith, and myself, Director of Human Resources and School Attorney. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Murphy, would you lead us now in the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance
To the flag, the United States of America,
And to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
with liberty
and
and justice for all.
visiting us this evening, if you would wave, is our newest board member, Christopher Hawk. Are you with us, hopefully? Everybody's waving. I see it, Chris, on the call, but he wasn't. Well, I'll ask again, because we'd like to welcome you. We're very delighted that you're going to be one of our new board members. We look forward to you joining us next month. And we thought that it would be appropriate for you to come this month to see how we operate. Guest we have with us tonight is Teresa Smith, who's here learning how she's going to be taking notes as the district clerk. So we welcome her also. And I'd like to congratulate all the OCM districts for the successful vote. It's been a tense few weeks setting up the needed vote reform, and it is a proud moment to see it worked out. But no surprise, they are handling challenging tasks endlessly. We'll move on to communication. Any comments to make about the communications from our staff? If not, my one comment is that it's certainly been busy around here during the summer. It seems like there's a million things going, so I'm sure that our staff is going to be really up to date as they start the new year. I'll move on to routine business. Minutes of the May 21st, 2020 regular Board of Education meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, could I have a motion to accept? And give your name if you're going to make a motion.
Joan
So
so
moved.
moves.
David second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries. We'll take number 2, 3, 4, and 5 together. Budget status report dated June 9th, 2020. Revenue status report dated June 9th, 2020. Treasurer's report dated April 2020. And the claims auditor's report dated June 11th, 2020. Are there any questions or corrections on those? Do I have a motion to accept?
Lisa moves.
Second?
Jody seconds.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries. Number 6 and 7 are for information only. We'll move on to the president's report. Have in your computer a form that looks like this, that talks about the graduation ceremonies.
Yeah.
I think that you'll find it very informative. You look to see what's happening for graduation for our students. So that's what it's only. Now, go on to the committee reports, and there's a lot of them tonight. Would the policy committee like to give a report on their recent meeting?
Did you say who'd like to give a report?
Yes.
Audit would.
You're going to, you'll be asked in a couple of minutes. I'm sorry, Mary.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to have you reply. Mike Murphy?
So the policy committee met for the last meeting of its 3-year cycle and took a look at 10 policies. 9 of those are ready to go. Joe Bufano was going to do a look-see at one 18-page policy that Dave Pachakowski was kind enough to raise some concerns about. So we have to revisit that, but that would conclude our 3-year cycle. One of the events that happened was that we determined that one of the policies up for first reading, we were going to pull because we have some work to do in that. That's 5340. When it comes to moving policies for first reading, we want to excise that. We also took a look at the 3-year prospective policy review cycle. It's set up so that in the current review cycle, it started in 2018, 2019, 2020, year 1, 2, and 3. So the new review cycle, what happened in year 1 of the current cycle will happen in year 1 of the next cycle. So there's no 5-year gap. At most, it'll be a 3-year gap. And there were a couple thoughts as to lessons learned and any suggestions for the good of the policy committee, and I took those under advisement and passed it on to Lisa, who I understand will be chairing that committee next year. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Michael. And I'd like to thank you serving on this board for so many years, so faithfully. It's been a great, I hope that you will keep in touch with us. Although I figured you'll be down visiting the grandchildren. But really, we'd love to hear from you. And we'd also like to congratulate Andrew de Blasi on a new position that he's taking this coming year, and wish him well. So to the two of you, enjoy life. We've been glad to have you join us through the years. We'll move on to the assessment committee. Joan Reeves.
We have to determine what kind of if we want to keep doing the assessment this year, and when. Not sure we're going to be able to do a retreat. We can look at that down the road, but if anybody would want to change or any modifications to the assessment document, let me know. We can still send that out probably. If we want to continue to do that, we can send that out in July.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So we'll do it again. We'll get together with the office, and we'll send it out and have it, put a deadline there. And I know you won't all do it by the deadline, but yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Thank you very much, Joan. We look forward to that.
Yeah.
Facilities. We'd like to give our report, and I have to tell you as the board members that you have a terrific facilities committee, that they work very hard at coming up with the right kinds of information that you need to make decisions. So I think you owe them a vote of thanks.
Absolutely, yes. Thanks to everyone. We've been working hard with several meetings lately, and like you said, great job from the staff and the committee to gather the information we need to help make recommendations. We'll start with the energy performance contract stuff. Excellent submittals and presentations were received from all 4 of the EPC providers. The committee feels they would all be capable of delivering a successful project. Everyone should have received in email yesterday a summary of the responses in a tabular matrix. If we can take questions on that now, but let me just get through quick what the committee is thinking. Following a comprehensive discussion, the committee would recommend Johnson Controls based on their proven experience with other BOCES, their successes in Baldwinsville. They have extensive expertise in lighting controls. They propose some intriguing solar options. And they kind of stood out with a comprehensive tracking mechanism to see where the savings actually come from after the new projects and the new fixtures are installed. So we certainly want to take questions from the full board, but if we have consensus there, we would move ahead with that selection and begin the planning process with Johnson Controls, with the idea being we would custom fit a project to meet the needs of OCM BOCES and stay within those fiscal constraints. I guess I'll keep going with that and take questions at the end. Speaking of those fiscal constraints, that same email included a cost breakdown of a theoretical $2.5 million project, whereby the debt service payments paid by each component district would be fully offset by a combination of state aid and the anticipated energy savings in the form of a lower operations and maintenance budget or credit amount. The estimated break-even point for energy savings for that example is around $70,000, which is conservative and low based on the estimates for the projects that these firms were proposing. So there's likely to be even more savings than that. So it would leave the component districts whole and possibly even give the BOCES a little bit more wiggle room as far as our annual budgets for energy. So those 2 things together are the EPC portion of our meeting. Anyone in the full board have comments or questions about that process or the summary matrix that was provided?
This is David. Got a question. When would we propose starting this or awarding it?
Well, I don't know that we have a definitive timeline. If we have consensus for the board, we would like to notify the successful proposer. And then the first thing would be to have them come in and do a real full in-depth audit for what we want the project to be. You know, they all took their own little stab at what they thought we needed, but we would like to take some time over the summer to fine tune that and make sure we get what we want. Andrew, do you have a better feel for what the full timeline would be on that?
I don't think Andrew's here.
Oh.
Andrew's on mute.
I was on mute.
He's on mute.
He's smart.
Bob, did you put me on mute?
Yeah, I did. I did because you did that to me. Yeah.
The timelines they propose, it's going to take a while to do the full-blown energy audit. Again, these were just proposals based on overview walkthroughs of our facilities, but not a detailed plan. So they would do probably the energy audit. It would take them a couple of months. And I think most of them were looking into late 20, early 21 to get the work performed. So at best, and I think that was being aggressive, but the first thing you'll do after you pick your firm is go through and develop your schedule so that everybody knows clearly what the expectations are for the project.
Okay, a second question. Any concerns with current economy and state aid payments on something like this? We say it's being offset by state aid. I just get nervous.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I think we're all a little nervous about where the state aid picture is going to go. You know, we calculated the numbers based on what we know today. As this is developed, if things change, obviously we might have to take a second look at how big the project can be or what the best components are. we certainly want to reach out to the component districts during the planning phases and make sure we build consensus with them as well. And, you know, as we get through the summer and fall, hopefully there's some more information to center those discussions around.
Great.
General Dave, I guess I would just add to that, that we believe that the districts would support this because right now, all the districts are really looking for cost saving measures, given the current economy. So that being said, we did talk in our committee about having those discussions like Luke mentioned and really making sure that is what the districts want us to do because, you know, this is their BOCES, right? So we definitely want them involved.
No, it makes sense. It's just, again, you just don't know what state aid's going to do to components or our aid, whatever. You just don't want to see us getting into something and then all of a sudden somebody pull the rug out and say, well, we're not going to give you any aid. And now it's might cost them more. Hope not.
Right.
I think that's how every single district in the advisory area is living though, Dave.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other comments?
Luke, you're going to talk about the capital project, the 2021-22?
Yeah, I was just going to mention it briefly. You can get into more detail if you want. The committee also discussed keeping an eye on the 2021-2022 possible capital projects. And possibly along with that, we plan to issue an RFP for architectural services that we're trying to get out the door by the end of June. We're hoping that a draft is available for board review soon. And this cycle would also include the next building condition survey, if I recall correctly.
And what we were looking at for 21-22 is definitely doing an elevator at the main campus. That was what the committee talked about for their 21-22 project.
That's all I had. So sounds like everyone is fairly comfortable with moving ahead with Johnson Controls, at least for the planning stages.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks.
you much because
On one question on the RFP, will we have interviews of whoever put something in as opposed to just a financial review of it?
I would suggest that, yes. But of course, the board can do whatever we want.
So we did before.
Yeah, I think it's important.
I agree. I think the interviewing process is very important.
And what we would want to do, if possible, is recommend that they bring the actual project manager and our representative to that interview. So you know which players will be available to us.
Good.
That's all from facilities.
Thank you. We'll move on to audit committee. Miriam.
Are you there? You got me?
Yes. Okay.
The audit committee met and we did the evaluation for Karen. It was very favorable. No attendance problems, great attitude, gets along with everybody, works very diligently, a great learner. Her past experiences have proved very helpful. She knows her business and she knows our business, and she's doing very well. The only places, there really no place, you know, she has to keep learning. And especially in the age of COVID, she has learned very well how to manage through the virtual world and a lot of different kinds of computer programs or whatever that she needs to do her job from a distance. But it was all very positive. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that? Okay,
Doing that assessment.
Pardon me?
Thanks for doing that assessment.
Say that again?
Thank you for doing the assessment.
Oh, well, yeah, well, actually, we haven't met with her yet. That's scheduled for next week. We're finding a good time for whoever wants to, and then we'll deliver her good news on that. The other thing I wanted to report on is Andrew put me in touch with our external auditors and Dark Angelo, because every year we're supposed to meet with them kind of prior to the year-end audit, and we are supposed to express any concerns or anything that we might want them to look into or be aware of. And because we couldn't do that this year, he suggested that we get together by phone. He suggested that I talk to them by phone, and so I did. And basically, it was just some boilerplate stuff like, do you have any suspicions of any wrongdoing or anything like that? The answer was no, we didn't have any suspicions. But just to report to you that they've done a lot of the preliminary work virtually. They found that everyone at BOCES has been very cooperative and bringing forth the information and has been very successful. And they are planning their field work at the end of August. I think we're slated for August 24th. And then after that, they will bring everything to us in the fall as usual. That's it. Anybody else on the committee want to say anything?
You did a great job, Miriam.
Okay. So I will now mute myself and listen to the rest of you.
Yeah.
Miriam, thank you very much. I'd like to announce that this is the time when we have to appoint the audit committee, so that we do it the meeting before the organization meeting. So Miriam has served for 3 years as the chair, and we thank her very much for her help. Now she will move into the committee as the holdover member who oversees what goes on so that nothing gets missed. And Bob Perry will become the chairman, and Peg Perry will serve another year. So thank you all very much for what you do, because I know that it's kind of a thankless committee, but it's important. So thank you very much.
Just letting everybody know a thunderstorm's coming through the North Syracuse, Liverpool area.
Here,
So,
the thunder.
yeah.
The
You can
minute.
hear it. Yeah.
I'd like to report a little bit on the DS search. There was an announcement that went out to the staff by Stephen Todd, and he's now accepting applications, DS position, and I'm hoping to hear from him soon. It will be mid-July, early July, when we hear from him and see what he has received his application. This past week, I came in, signed for $9 million for the RANs. So it'll get us through for a bit. It was originally supposed to be 12, and we only needed to sign for 9, which I thought was wonderful. So that's moving forward. You will find in your agenda that there's a schedule for this coming year's board meetings. For information, we will vote on this at the organization meeting. So if you're looking for a place to run something off so that you'll have it at home and remember when the meetings are, this is it. Now, I spoke with Colleen minutes ago. I decided that it's time that I came in to do the board meetings here in person. And next week, or next month, July 9th, we are going to try a board meeting here. Those of you that would like to join us, fine. If you'd rather come on virtually, you can do that too, because we don't want to push you too fast. But I think it's time we got back to some normal things. So we'll ask you whether you will be joining me or not next month. Thank you. Now we move on to the interim district superintendent's report. He's not here this evening, but he did call and excuse himself for this meeting. Are there any administrators' reports? No. Old business? No. New business personnel. There's a supplemental agenda that I'd like you to look at quickly. Anybody have any questions that we might have to answer in executive session?
Yes, and I'm sure Colleen I see all the summer. I thank Joe for that this afternoon. But they're mainly, I'm guessing, Chris can answer this too. Our summer schools, West Genesee, where are they this year? Or are they all one combination?
Everything is remote, both for regional summer school as well as extended school year for our special education students.
Okay, now I do not see the special education staff yet. That they have not been hired?
Many of the staff members who are hired for special education are existing staff members. So the way we process their summer paperwork is it's what's considered a job 2. And so you won't see that on the agenda, only if it's additional or staff that are not typically employed by OC and BOCES.
All right, my other question is, the governor said, and I don't know where we are with this, that special needs, special ed would be in person. Where are we on that?
So actually, you'll see this in my weekly report tomorrow. I will tell you that I've probably spent the majority of the past 2 weeks of my time on this issue. I've been on about 10 different Zoom calls with everyone from school attorneys to BOCES. Roseanne and I have been on meetings with the BOCES directors of special education across the state. Roseanne and I have held multiple meetings with the directors of special education in our region. We've had special meetings with superintendents of districts that run extended school year programming. So we have covered the gamut and spent a lot of time delving into the issue. Ultimately, what we've determined is that you are right. The governor said special education services may be delivered in person.
Yeah.
In order to do so, we have to meet the state Department of Health requirements, which are having adequate staffing to meet the ratios that the state has set forth, as well as having adequate PPE. So we do have one of those 2 things. We have adequate PPE, but we do not have adequate staffing. Contract, we can't force our teachers to work summer. That's a choice. And I want to thank Rosanna Grund publicly. She spent 3 to 4 full days of her weekend, last weekend, calling all of our, personally calling each of the folks, the instructional staff that said they had been willing to work remotely to see if they'd be willing to work in person. 30% of those people said no. We would have to, basically the long and short of it is we don't have adequate staffing to run in-person summer school safely. We service about 600 students.
Yeah.
For extended school year programming. I will also tell you, I think because of how vulnerable the population of students are that we serve, many are autoimmune compromised, medically fragile. I think there's some significant concerns on many people's part, including my own, about whether that would be the safe thing to do. But nonetheless, we went through the requirements of seeing if we could have the staffing, and we don't. And so we did make the decision and shared it. I consulted with Chris Todd on this as well. He's been involved. I discussed it with all the superintendents on the Wednesday meeting. Just yesterday morning, and then we had a meeting with the directors of special ed yesterday afternoon. Everyone understands the decision, and quite frankly, they seem to agree that it's the right decision. So that's where we are. That's the long and short of it, but it has been.
Thank you very much, Colleen, and thank Rosanna too, because we talked about this in North Syracuse on Monday night. So I know that this is a very complicated thing. So thank you for all the time that you put in for it. Appreciate it.
I have a question that goes along with that. do we have to, or do they have to change the IEPs in order to, I mean, I guess accommodate virtual learning
Good
or
question.
whatever? And it's not our call, but does that go back to the components?
Rosanna, I want to put you on the spot. I don't know if Rosanna, I remember us discussing this issue with Susan Johns, but I don't recall what the answer was. So I don't, Rosanna, do you?
Yeah, I can answer that. During school closure and extended school year, you do not have to modify the IEPs. You just have to implement them to the greatest extent possible during this period of time.
Okay, just didn't want to set us up for some kind of lawsuit or failure to meet whatever requirements that are out there.
To be totally honest, Dave, I have to tell the whole board that I do believe there are going to be lawsuits around special education, remote learning in general. I know that advocacy groups are already very strongly involved ever since COVID-19. So I think what we're responsible for doing is doing everything we can and documenting everything we do to the best of our ability. We're always consulting with the attorneys, but I am concerned that it's going to be a litigious time for all of the upcoming year.
You know, when we met with a roundtable with the commissioner, and she said that's the one thing that hasn't been flexible at all is the federal government.
Right.
So.
Thanks, Joe.
Questions? If they're not, could I have a motion to accept the personnel recommendations and the supplemental and
So moved. Bob Crabtree.
Second, Peg Perry.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. Number 2, approval of salary adjustments for the 2020-2021 fiscal year for non-aligned staff of Onondaga, Cortland, Madison, BOCES. Are there any questions?
No.
No.
Motion to accept?
So moved, David.
Second, Luke.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'll ask again, is Chris Hockey with us tonight? Or he can hear us? Sorry, I wish you were.
I think he is. Chris, can you hear us?
There.
The name is there and it looks like he tried to unmute himself, but for whatever reason, maybe the sound isn't working.
That's the video.
Yeah, he's on.
We can't wait to talk to you in person. Because you'll find this a very exciting group and I'm anxious for you to join us. We'll move on to new business. Number 1 and 2 are for information only. We'll take bids number 3 through 12. Are there any questions on any of these?
Yes. Now that we have Andrew, one last meeting. Number 11, I've never understood this. I don't know if Andrew, you've got in front of you the contract status for each school district. Do you have it in front of you, Andrew?
I do not, but do you want to ask your question?
Okay, so I don't know what each column represents. So what does initial contract mean?
That's the contract they give, that's the proposed services they would like to have. They give us at this time of year, like a few months ago.
Okay, and then what are adjustments?
That's any changes that the districts make. They request more services, ask for less
Okay.
services. That happens throughout the year.
Okay, thank you. And then fixed cost. Is that,
That's, I don't have the report in front of me, but that's usually the rate or the cost that we charge for that service.
okay,
I'm not mistaken.
okay. And then the last one is current amount. So that is the amount that we're doing now, or what does that mean? Current amount.
Hold on, I do have my board packet. Let me grab that.
I apologize. I should have emailed you or whatever, but I always want to understand this.
Current amount would be your total after your initial and your adjustments.
All right, thank you very much,
Yep.
Andrew. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna write that down to see if you ask that question next year, Bob.
Yeah.
I
Call
probably
me,
will.
Bob. Call me.
I guess a question for Andrew as well. The extensions that we're getting on all these RFPs and whatever, is this routine or is this just something that because of this year, things are just working out that way?
That's a good question. It's a combination of both, and the fact that they were willing to keep their rates, it makes things simpler. And those are good. They're all good companies that performed well for us.
Yeah.
So it made sense to extend the bids.
Now, is Sean the one that initiates the request, or how does that kind of work?
Yep, Sean runs all our RFPs and all our bids, and they come through him. He does it in coordination with the districts. He asks for information, asks for requests who would like to participate in different bids, and then he will run the bid accordingly.
Okay, because I'm just thinking that you get the request, somebody has to decide to go for an extension as opposed to putting it out for an RFP.
Yeah, Sean finds out if they're willing to maintain their price. We talk about it. Again, if we had any issues or concerns with the vendor, we would certainly not extend them.
I think it's a great opportunity for us anyway.
Yeah.
Proven track record.
Yep.
Any other questions? If not, could I have a motion to accept number 3 through 12?
So moved, Peg.
Second, Wayne.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. Number 13 through 22, which are technology. Any questions on any of these? If not, could I have a motion to accept?
Moved, Wayne.
Second?
Second, Jody.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. Number 23. Does anybody want to talk about this?
Sure.
The auditorium?
Sure. So this is the SECR requirement, which just, we are required to complete this to make sure there's no environmental impact based on the project. And this is to replace the HVAC unit. We discussed this with our facilities committee. It's currently in the pit, if you will. That's what we refer to it as at McAvoy. And we're looking to move it and replace it and to the rooftop. So it's just it's a requirement that has to occur when you are doing a capital project.
Any other questions?
It'll be nice to have that AC on there.
Yeah.
Won't that be great? I won't miss standing on stage in 100 degrees, shaking 200 hands without AC.
Yeah.
Right.
Did I have a motion to accept?
So move, Luke.
Second, Peg.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries. New business other. Number 1, approval of standard work and reporting resolution for Karen Hyde, our auditor. Any questions about this? Could I have a motion to accept?
So move, David.
Lisa seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. Number 2, approval of agreement between Onondaga, Cortland, Madison, BOCES, and the North Syracuse Central School District to provide school meal program at Thompson Road. Any questions on this? Motion to accept?
So move, David.
Second, Luke.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries. The next are some policies, but I'd like you to look at number 13. It's first reading of policy 5340. They are looking for it to be tabled.
Correct.
Right.
So move, David.
Okay,
Second, Peg.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? So it's tabled, thank you. We will take number 3 through 12 of first readings. Any questions on any of those?
Just a real short one. Number 7, the actual policy itself needs a slash between smoking and vaping. Typo.
Mine has it.
Make sure that gets corrected on all copies. Thanks, David.
Motion to accept?
So move, Mike Murphy.
Okay, second,
Second, Luke.
all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions. Motion carries on number 3 through 12. Number 14, 22, these are all first readings. Any comments or questions or concerns?
There's a little work that needs to be done on number 18, policy 6480. It's got some duplicated lines. Page 3,
Yeah.
a bunch of them.
Make those corrections.
Some paragraphs 5 through 8 are duplicated from, they're on page 2, they're duplicated on page 3.
And I have a question on number 15, policy 6424. I was under the impression from my interaction with service animals at the hospital that we could not ask for vaccination records. Is that not correct?
Joe?
Have to double check on that.
Joe typically refers to the regulations when we're reviewing those policies to make sure that we're in compliance, but he's gonna go back and double check that. If it's, so I don't know if you wanna, I don't know how the board would like to proceed, if you wanna pull it or whether or not.
You want to table it? Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to table that one?
I'd say just correct it if it's just a duplicate.
Yeah. It's, well, I think it's just a question because we were told we couldn't ask for vaccination records or any, we were told we couldn't even ask what type of service the animal provided. So.
Okay, we'll follow up, Peg, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
I'm
I've
gonna
got-
suggest we pull that then, if you're okay with that, so we can, so we don't adopt it if it needs to be modified.
Yes, we'll table it. Did someone table number 15? Make a
So
motion.
moved, Peg.
Thanks, Peg. Second?
Second,
David.
Mike Murphy.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions, motion carries. That will be tabled. So we have number 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, and 22. Any
I have a
questions?
question on number 20. Not the
Okay.
policy itself, but more, should the board be doing an annual review of what clubs are out there or are sponsored? It's in the policy that we review it or whatever, but I don't believe we've ever done an all-out review.
We do
Sort
that
of
at
through the audit.
we do that for at the reorganization meeting. When we appoint the club advisors, that's where the listing of the clubs are.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember seeing them then.
Yeah, but I just wondering, informational review of here's the clubs we have and here's what got added, here's what got deleted or something.
If you would like.
Not a part of the
Yes.
policy, just more of a procedure to follow the policy.
If the board would like to review a summary of each of the clubs and what they focus on, I'd certainly be happy to provide that for you, if that would be helpful.
I guess that's what I'm looking at, so you have some idea what's going on.
But isn't that what we do at the reorg meeting? So would this be a duplicate effort?
At the reorg meeting, all we're doing is appointing the advisor, not necessarily the club.
Yeah, but that's where the list of the clubs are. So maybe just a brief summary of any changes would be nice. You know, like maybe a sentence or two of any clubs that we deleted or added. Just so that we're not having our administrators duplicate effort. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you want to table this also?
Oh, I think the policy is fine. This is more of a follow-up. of
Procedure.
Yeah.
Procedure,
Procedural question.
yeah.
All right. So we have that, right? Yeah. Okay, so you'll be voting on number 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Any further questions? Could I have a motion to accept?
Wayne moves.
Lisa seconds.
Thanks. Favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Number 23 is a review of the draft 2020-2021 district-wide safety plan. We have to vote on this since it's a review.
I think at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, Teresa, that we're reviewing it, and then there's a 30-day public comment period. And so what I did want to point out is that Mike Murphy did drop off to the office today some suggested modifications that are not of substance, but are good improvements to form and such. So we're going to incorporate those recommendations into the district-wide safety plan, and we can update that. And approval of the district-wide safety plan will be in August.
Okay, so this is just a review. So get out your computers and look it over.
Yep. I have one question. I believe it's on page 5 and it's the RIC. It's just the address. It says building 2. Is that Rodak building 2? Or is it just known as building 2?
Did you say page 5?
Page 5. The RIC, it's 67 something Malloy Road, building 2. I was just wondering if that's Rodak building 2, because the other ones seem to have Rodak is a part of it.
It listed as numbers, what number, I see listed as number 7. Oh, there I see it now, building 2. John, I'm gonna ask John Wisniewski to just weigh in on building 2. I'm not familiar with that reference myself.
Yeah, it just looked different.
Well, all of the Rodex buildings are numbered 1 through 8. And our main entrance into the RIC is right at building 2. So, I mean, I don't think we've ever referenced that. You know, we've always said the RIC is in 1, 2, and 3, like offhandedly, but never.
Yeah, but some of the ones that are in there now say Rodak 5, Rodak 6, or whatever. So I just, again, doesn't make any difference. I just didn't know what the correct address might be.
The address is accurate, 6075. Building 2, I think, was just a reference to a number that was on the building. We certainly can certainly strike that.
Oh, no, it doesn't, I'd leave it because building 2 is there. It was a question of, do they designate it as Rodak building 2 versus just building 2?
Well, if the buildings are numbered, that's the main thing, is to have them numbered for safety purposes.
Yeah, I'd leave it.
Someone's trying to find the emergency, having the number there is going to provide more information, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions about policy? If not, you'll be hearing about it in August. We'll move on to number 24, Board of Education Roundtable. I'd like to start.
I guess I asked David, how did you like the agenda in front of us today?
Much better than trying to move to something else to try and find it.
So I want to thank Michael Maurizio, because I know he's doing it right now, Michael. So thank you very much for doing that. And congratulations on your election yesterday, North Syracuse Board.
There you go.
I had to get that in. Well, I just was amazed when I read one of the reports about our food service and what we have done for our OCM BOCES school districts. 651,790 breakfasts and lunches that we have served children throughout, and I'm guessing Onondaga County. I don't know if it's Cortland County also, but I live across from a school and they're there every single morning. Wendy's done an outstanding job. She doesn't like to take praise, I know. But it's amazing that these kids are getting, and families are getting these lunches and breakfasts. And I know it's continuing a little bit longer. So it's just wonderful because there's a lot of needy kids and families during this time. So they need to be congratulated.
Thank you. Anything else for the roundtable?
I just have one, and it's an observation, and don't want anybody to take it as being a criticism. But after looking through all the policies that we have that are up, I'd ask when we review them again, we have things in there that say just BOCES, and in other spots it says OCM BOCES, board versus Board of Education. Just again, as you go through it, might just be something to take and look at and say, what's the standard? And I think just seeing as many policies as we had this time, you just see different versions of it. So not a complaint, just a comment.
Well, Dave, maybe you should be on the policy committee.
That's why I didn't want to bring it up. No, I think, again, it accolades to Michael and what he's done with it. It's really good.
Dave, I think that's a good point. I think as a committee, we did catch a lot of those items, but I'm sure when we go around the next cycle, there'll be more that we find and certainly look for and try and make sure we're consistent.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't hurt anything. Everybody, I believe, knows what it is, but just a question.
Any other comments?
Just to say goodbye to Michael Murphy for all he's done for this BOCES, his expertise with policy for 3 years, going through every single policy with our administrators. And he's just a wonderful gentleman who's given a lot. He gave a lot to Liverpool. Dr. Melvin told me he came on board after he left, but he heard wonderful things by the superintendents. Everything you've done has been for kids, and you go to a lot of the events for our students. So Michael, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're going to be missed, believe me, big time from this organization. So good luck.
Absolutely, Mike,
Good luck.
enjoy.
Good luck, Mike, because we are really going to miss you.
We certainly are.
It's been my pleasure serving with the best of the best.
Well, it's been our privilege.
Yeah.
One of those grandbabies, Mike.
They're good.
Just also thank you to Andrew for what he's provided to BOCES.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you.
Good luck, Andrew.
Good luck, Andrew.
Good luck, Andrew.
Going, so.
They won't be as good as OCM, but that's okay.
You may have more time.
Okay, and on behalf of the staff too and the cabinet, we would like to thank Mike Murphy as well, because he has just been, in my mind, a wonderful model of what a board member should be, and has done an excellent job focusing on, things that are so appropriate for the board to focus on, and it really helped us navigate through policy. Obviously, everyone's spoken about that. I've shared my thoughts on that already. Day in and day out, always having the best interest of our students in mind, and really like a model board member, and also took a vested interest in all of us as a staff, which meant a lot to us personally as well. So thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
And keep in touch.
Right.
Yeah, and we'll drive up to Rudy's and meet you.
There.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's an idea.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun to be out and about?
Trying to say we should change the board meeting schedule?
I do have one additional question. On our meeting agenda or schedule, should we be identifying on there also available through video?
We put it on the agenda, certainly, but are you referring to
The-
our
the-
scheduled
the
meetings for the
calendar.
year?
The calendar where it says the location of the meeting or whatever?
I'm not sure, I mean, I would say that.
I wouldn't think the calendar would be the place for that.
No.
I don't think so either. I think also we don't know the status of when we're
I
gonna
think when,
be.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, when we advertise, wouldn't that be the appropriate time for that?
yes, I would think so.
That makes more sense, but sounds good.
More changes to come, kids.
You got it.
Ready. This is only one of many. Anything else for the roundtable?
I just wanted to mention that, Colleen, you did a great job with your virtual retirement package there, and you had a very good things to say about everybody, and it looks like you really spent some time to get it together and make sure everyone was recognized.
Well, thank you. That was definitely a team effort across the board. So thank you very much. Both Teresa and Joe helped with that, and all of our leaders helped with that as well, with writing really meaningful things that we could share about our employees. So that was a team effort.
I don't know, Teresa, we scared you tonight?
No, no. She's been taking notes ever since she got here.
Well, we can't wait for you to join us.
If she
Permanently.
puts those in minutes for us, we'll be reading for quite a while. She's really good at taking notes.
Yep.
Anything that you want to know, you just ask her. And Joe, thank you very much for being our auditor, our clerk, because we'll keep you in mind, though. You never know, I mean, she may end up being the superintendent.
That'd be a good choice.
So, anyway, any other things for open session? If not, we need to go into executive session to talk about specific particular persons' employment. Could I have a motion to go into executive session?
So move, Mike Murphy.
Second, David.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
So if staff want to head out,